All right, everybody. Hello again. My name is Beth Cook, and I'm the First LEGO League State Partner. And Bev Ketron and Jean Bolte and I are so excited to bring you the Spike Prime workshop for coaches this evening. I'm going to go ahead and start by sharing a picture of what the Spike Prime set looks like on the screen. So this is our Spike Prime set. And as you can see, that there are some definite similarities to the EV3s. For those of you who have used EV3s before, you'll see the Technic style Legos, the ones with the holes in them, and the bushings and the axles. You'll see the sensors. The ultrasonic sensor still looks like a set of eyes. But there are also some changes to it. The cords have changed, the colors have changed, and the hub, what they refer to as the brain, has changed now as well. So if you have multiple sets of the first LEGO Spike Prime set, we strongly recommend that you label the kit. The hub, the brain, the motors, the sensors, there actually are stickers that come in each of the individual kits that you can put numbers on. So you can keep all of the number 1 set together, all of the number 2 set together, all of the number 3 set together if you do have multiple teams. This can be especially helpful when you have multiple groups meeting at the same time. They also come with the stickers, like you can see in the picture here, of all the parts that they recommend that go in each small container of the box. I will share with you all an unboxing video that kind of takes you through how to put the stickers on and where to put them, but I'm not going to include that in this evening. I do want to show you, however. So the materials that you all have if you order from LEGO, you should get 2 boxes. This is the second box. This is the expansion set. And this has a number of the different Legos and components that you will use when building your attachments, when building any of the extension pieces for your robot. And then this is the tub that you're used to seeing. This one contains the base pieces of your robot set. And in here, when you take the lid off, and the lid is the same as the previous, so it's kind of like a little tray that you can set the tub on top of, but inside of the set, they have the little trays that you can take out, and the trays are where we are recommending that you put the little stickers so that you can identify all the different parts. And you can keep all of the components separated in the trays. They won't stay separated for all the meetings, and you shouldn't even try, but it'll help you and it will help them in finding parts if that the kids have a general sense of where they go. And then the bigger components can go in the bottom of the tray or in the bottom of the tub. What my teams have done in the past with our sets is they would open the tub, pull all the materials out and use it when building, put all the materials back, put the lid back on it, and then set their robot on top of the lid until they got a robot garage. I strongly recommend a robot garage if you don't have one. All a robot garage is a box that the robot and its accessories get put into. The reason this is so valuable is that it keeps all the parts together that the students are working on, and it helps to protect the robot. I cannot count the number of times students have been walking at a competition, in a practice, from one area to another, and they're holding the robot in their hands and they drop the robot, and then the pieces come off, they scatter everywhere, everybody's in a panic. If you have things in a robot garage or some sort of container, if you drop the whole container, yes, there can still be damage to the robot, but usually there's less because the container absorbs some of that impact. And if anything comes off, it stays in the container and it's a lot easier to reassemble. All right, I'm going to go back to sharing on my screen again.
There's a question on the chat from Helen.
Oh, where do you find the robot garage? Great question. And I apologize. I was just using some language that I assumed everyone would know. And that is not a good thing to do. A robot garage is really any sort of container that you can use to hold your robot. So usually I would find for my group Tupperware or Rubbermaid boxes, not Tupperware, Rubbermaid or other plastic boxes, usually about an 18 by 18 inch square or a little bigger or a little smaller that can hold the robot and all of the components. And I liked something that had a snap-on lid so that the kids I could close it and stack it on a shelf, oftentimes right on top of my other Legos. And I would label my robot garages. I would just put a piece of duct tape on them and have 1, 2, 3, because I had 3 teams. And then I'd label my robot parts in my tubs as well. And then I had all of team 3's materials together, including the robot, all of team 2's materials together, including the robot, all of team 1's materials together, including the robot. It doesn't have to be plastic, however. If you've got, I've seen teams use copy paper boxes, are also a really nice size box. Often they have handles, they have a good lid. So really anything of that nature. All right, so I am currently sharing my screen so that you all can see how to access the software in order to create programs for your Spike Prime robot. So what you'll want to do is just Google Spike Prime download. And if you go to the Lego Education Spike Prime student app download, click on that. And then you can identify what you want to put it on. Are your students using a Chromebook? Are they using a laptop? Are they using an iPad? Are they using a Mac device or an Android handheld device? And then from there, I put mine on a laptop. You can identify, do you want the DAT app? Do you want to download it? Do you want to launch it from the web? You have all of these different options. So if you have a laptop or Chromebook that doesn't have enough memory to download the program, you can run it from the cloud from the web app. I have downloaded the program onto my device using the download. So when I show you on my device, that's what it will be. All right. Okay. So going back to our previous screen, I want to give you all a quick introduction to the Spike Prime app. Bev found this particular video and the link will be in the slides. I will share these slides with everyone as well as the link. We will post the video of tonight's training on the CINSAM YouTube account. I will share that link and the slides with you at that time, but jump to that video. Keeps giving me the ad. I do apologize. And actually that works to my benefit because I don't think I didn't share it with the volume. So
Water.
Hey, how's it going over there?
The plant.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Today we're going over the Spike Prime application, which you can use to program all of your Spike's components.
This is what the program will look like when you open the program on your device. And I'm not going to show the whole video. The first 2.5 minutes of it are related to what you will be doing. If you have a more advanced team, the last 2.5 minutes talks about creating everything with Python. So you also do have that if you have students that are more advanced with programming, you can use that as well. But this goes through just a quick introduction to the components of the Spike Prime software that I wanted everyone to see.
The app is available for download on iOS, Android, or desktop, and today I'm going to be using the desktop version. On the home screen, you'll find recent projects you've worked on, as well as the option to start a brand new project. If you don't want to start coding just yet, and instead want a step-by-step intro on how to code in the Spike app, you can click on the Start page. And
I will tell you all, I use this getting started, or what they used to call the tutorials or the training area, with my teams all the time. I would break my students up into small groups and I would say, okay, I want you all to work your way through the following training modules or tutorials before that you start programming, and it helps them to get a little bit more experience with what everything is included with the Spike Prime, as well as how to start programming.
Follow these 1, 2, 3 starting activities to kind of get your feet wet. If you move into the unit plans page, you can find specific activities that guide you in building different robots and programming them using blocks.
We are going to come back to the specific programming activities at the end, because there's a special one for First LEGO League.
And under the build page, you can find specific instructions to build lots of different kinds of robots. Though
I will tell you, the build page is probably the one that has the least practical application to First LEGO League, but I wanted you all to see that it was here.
they don't come with coding instructions. And in this last section, you can just find a more elaborate list of all of your projects. Let's go ahead and open up a new project.
All right, I'm going to stop here and switch back to the other screen, because we've kind of broken down the pieces that you need for your programming. All right, so to open a new project from the home page, you're going to select the new project option under recent projects. And you can see on the screen, and this kind of will loop through for you, that you have an option of icon blocks, word blocks, or Python. You can name it. For First LEGO League, I typically have the students name the project by what the mission is or what they want it to do. I recommend programming in word blocks, and that's what we're going to take you through today. And this gives you just a cursory first glance at what the word blocks look like. So this is a little bit more detail of what that page with your word block programming looks like. It's broken into two sections. On the right side is your programming canvas, where you will be putting, or the students will be putting, their programming. And over here on the left side is the block palette. Now, I want to just take a moment and explain to you all some of the components in the block palette, because I really think that that's what can be most overwhelming to coaches and students alike. So the motors are the blue blocks, and those are the ones that your students are going to use the most often. You'll use the motors to make the robot drive around. You'll use the motors to articulate and move different appendages. The motors are the piece that oftentimes you'll use the most, and when you're using a motor individually. The next one is movement, and movement allows multiple motors to move in conjunction. And that's a really good one for when the robot is driving around. You'll see that it kind of shows in the picture here, two motors together as opposed to a single motor. So that's where the difference is between motors and movement. Both use motors. Movement just uses multiple motors at the same time. Light, the front of your hub, and we'll be showing pictures of that here in just a moment, has lights on it. So you can actually program the hub to flash those lights or to create pictures with those lights. Sound is exactly what it sounds like. It's the sounds that the robot makes. And the students will learn very early on that they can make the robot make cat sounds, meow, purr, and that is something that is very popular with the students. Events is when you want to have different components working in conjunction with your with the operation of your robot. And then as it moves down, you get into some more sophisticated components. Control is when you want to, Control is when you want to have your programming do like loops or switches, when you want to have a specific control feature on how the program runs. Controls are especially helpful when you're doing repeated actions, or if you're using sensors and have if or actions. And then the kind of turquoise blue is the sensors, and there are multiple sensors that come with your Spike Prime sets. And then it goes down into the My blocks are when you create the bottom one there, kind of that red one, is when you create certain blocks that do certain things and you want to save them under a name in case you want to use them again. You can save them under My blocks. And then the other two in the middle, the green and the orange, are a little bit more sophisticated operations with the robot, but they are things that if your team has some top-notch programmers, you might get into. So coming back onto the page, the left side, as we were saying, was your palette. The right side is your programming canvas. And we're going to show you guys how that you can pull things. So it's just a drop and drag to build and create your programming on the programming canvas. And you can drop and drag them from different locations. You can rearrange them once that you have them on there. So you can take it from the middle to the top. If you decide that there are pieces that you don't want, you can drag pieces off. And keep losing my mouse. I do apologize. There we go. So if you want to delete a single block, you can pull that off and bring it back over into the palette. If you want to delete a group of blocks, you can bring them and put them in the palette. You also can drag something off and put it off to the side in your construction area on the canvas there on the right, in case you might want to come back and use it again. So you don't have to delete something if the students aren't going to use it at that moment in time. They can pull it off the program and still have it saved off to the right. All right, the next thing I want to show you guys was what the hub looks like. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment so I can show it to you in 3D. And then I'm going to go back to that picture that we just had. So I have here a constructed robot from a summer camp program that Bev and Jean and I did. And the hub is this white and yellow piece right here. So the white and yellow piece is what will is your hub, is your programmable brick, your brain, depending on what your students have called it in the past or what you have called it in the past. And this is where you're going to be putting all the information in. I'm going to show you the different components of that on our demo model here. You can see that the top of the brain has this area here. That is your light bar. This is your power switch. Here is your Bluetooth connection, and it's not a button that you push. It's actually a light that when you're connecting to Bluetooth will flash so that it shows the connection. You have 6 ports that you can connect motors or sensors to, and you can identify all the different motors and sensors on the program so that you can remember which ones that you are using. So for downloading and running programs, the programmable hub actually will store up to 20 programs. When the students start building their programs, if they don't designate which program number that they're saving it to, it'll keep saving it to 0. So one of the first things you want to teach them is how to save programs. And the way that they do that, and we'll show you here on the screen in just a moment, is that they select the program number, and they do that by clicking the left and right arrows to go from 0 to whichever number that they wish to store it at. And then they click on the download button to download it to the hub. You have up to 19 slots that you can save programs in. And then when you go to operate the robot, you can select that program number either by pushing the arrows and the button on the brain or by pushing the information on the computer. In competition, the students will be pushing on the brains. Whenever the students are ready to run a program, they want to make sure that the robot is connected by Bluetooth or by cable. And I strongly recommend that the robot be on the floor or on the program or on the game table because it has walls. What you don't want is the robot running off the table and falling onto the floor. So within the app, they would click on the yellow run button at the bottom right corner of the programming canvas. On the robot itself, they would push the arrows to the left or right of the power button there in the middle, and then they push the power button to run. We have here a little video that talks a little bit more about programming the light matrix, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that up for you.
If you're a Kentucky homeowner, go solar.
In this tutorial, we're focusing on the Spike Prime Hub's 5x5 light matrix display. There are a total of 25 pixels that you're able to program to choose which one are on and which ones are off, how bright they are, display built-in images, or have text scroll along the screen. We'll be going over these activities in both blocks and Python coding, and you can jump to the section you need using the timestamps in the description beneath the video. Let's go ahead and get started. So here we are in the blocks-based script, and what I'm going to show you how to do is control the light matrix on your.
And you can see here that we're in the kind of this purple light section of the palette, as opposed to the more lavender section that is the sound, or the more blue section that is the motors. Your palette, your screen will not show this image on the right. This video is set up so that you can see what the robot is doing at the same time as the programming is being run. But your programming will not simultaneously show the robot.
Your hub. To start off, first we want to go down to events, and we can find the when program starts block. So when we run our program, whatever we have it attached to it will run. Then I'm gonna head over to the light bubble over here on the left, and I'm gonna grab the turn on, and it has a little picture of a smiley face block. And if we attach it and click into that smiley face, what we'll find is a bunch of pixels that we can individually control. We can turn off all of them, we can turn on all of them, we can change the brightness with this little scroller on the side, and then change all of them at once. Or we can choose to individually turn on blocks and have them at different brightnesses. And if we click out of that and click run, it's going to upload it to the hub, and there you'll see it pops up. Another option, if you don't want images and if you want text instead, grab this right block and drop it down, and you can replace the text that's in the center. Instead of hello, I'm going to say bye-bye, and if I run it, you'll see it pop up on your hub. It is case sensitive though, so if you capitalize something, it's going to be capitalized on the hub. And try to keep your messages short, because otherwise it's going to take a long time to scroll on the display for the hub.
Okay, and actually that went just a moment further than I wanted it to, because I want to show you all. And it's not going to let me go back just that tiny little bit. I wanted to show you all that here is an example of pulling a piece of code off of your program and just setting it somewhere else on your canvas, that you have it, that you can come back to use it again later. This video also goes on to give the same instructions in Python. So if your team is more sophisticated in their programming, they can use Python instead. All right, so I should now have up on the screen, and I'm switching back and forth between what's being shared, so I hope that this is what's on, is how to add comments. So you can comment as that you are doing your, oops, excuse me, did not mean to do that. There we go. All right, I apologize for that. You can create comments as you are working on your programming, and this can be especially helpful when your students are trying to identify what we're trying to identify what it is that piece of code does. So for example, here you can have, when the program starts, you want a specific aspect of the programming to have the different motors do different things. You've got different pieces here, and you're coding that this particular piece of code moves the legs forward, that this particular piece of code moves the legs backwards just after the rear legs start moving, that this particular piece of code changes the steering on both blocks to run in circles. The advantage of having the comments on your code is, first, it's good practice, and it teaches the students something that they will do if they become coders, or any code that they work with in the future. This is how professionals do it as well. But it also helps them identify when things go wrong. So if the code goes through and it correctly does the first pieces, but it doesn't do the last piece, and the students are trying to figure out, why did it not change the steering to run in circles? They know which part of the code to go to, as opposed to looking at all of the code and trying to remember, okay, which part of this code related to having my robot move in circles. You can also use the special light matrix if that your students would like. You can run different lights during different aspects of the code. So you could have it be that when the certain aspects of the program start, that they turn on a smiley face, or they turn on a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3. And then when they are watching how the robot operates, if those light codes don't come on, they know at what part of the program that the program has stopped working. Now, one of the things I mentioned to you was that within the unit plans, there's something special. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my Spike Prime for you all to see. All right, when you open the Spike Prime, it actually will open to 2 different programs. You have the choice of using Spike Essential or Spike Prime. Spike Essential is the Lego's new program that has replaced the We Do 2.0. Again, within First Lego League, teams can still continue to use We Do 2.0, but if a team starts new and they buy their equipment, the Spike Essential is what that they are able to buy now. And the programming here ties to the Spike Essential. For the Spike Prime programming, you're going to click on the Spike Prime and it takes you to this page that includes unit plans. This is also the page that they talked about at the beginning where you've got home or start, which are your tutorials, the pre-made units, which we're going to jump into now, and the builds, which are fun, but not necessarily related to First Lego, and then my projects. So within unit plans, if you scroll down, competition ready is the First Lego League created for the Spike Prime. So you can jump right into the competition ready tutorials, and they have instructions on driving around, sensing objects. So this one, the driving around, uses the gyroscopic sensor that's built into the robot brain, into the hub. The distance sensor is the ultrasonic sensor. The color sensor is the piece that allows it to line follow. I'm going to come back to the guided mission. They give instructions on building an advanced driving base. So if your team has never built a robot and needs some assistance in building a driving base, there are components in both this, in each of these actually, that talk your team through how to do an introductory robot. And there is no reason a team cannot use one of these robots in competition. It's what that the changes they make to it are going to be tied to the missions that they want the robot to accomplish. I will say that if your team is going for a robot design award, that they don't want their robot to look exactly like the robot base that is in the challenge or that is in the software, but there's no reason not to start here. And then it goes through all the way teaching different missions. So this is another area that you can use with your team as tutorials as you are training your team and teaching your students how to use the Spike Prime software. Now, I mentioned to you about the guided mission. As you'll notice on here, the guided mission that is currently on the Lego Spike Prime software is the 2021-2022 mission, which is Cargo Connect. That's last year's mission. So to help or to remedy that particular situation, if you go to the First Inspires website, and First Inspires is the website where that you will register your team, where you'll put in information about your team in the dashboard when you log in. The First Inspires website is a great resource hub for a lot of information. If you go to programs on this page and then First Lego League and jump down to game and season, it takes you to a page where it gives you the Discover materials. Discover is for preschool programs, so that's non-competitive. The Explore season materials, and the Explore teams are the early elementary teams, and they participate in expos. And the Challenge season materials. The Challenge season materials are the materials that you'll be using with your competitive tournament teams. So if you click on the challenge materials and scroll down, the code for the guided mission is right here, and you can download it as a file that will open directly into your Spike Prime software. So this is the program for the guided mission, and it actually gives different coding information here, or the notes here for the code for the students, and get to go up. That's not what I was trying to do.
Just click and drag in the white space.
There we go. Thank you. It was not catching, I'm gonna say. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, but thank you. Appreciate it. We have the information here for when the program starts, and it goes through all the pieces of the guided mission. Guided mission is new last year. And what that means is that first is giving every single team the code to run one mission. And it happens to be one of the line follower missions. So you can take this code, use it for the mission, and you can also modify this code to use for additional missions. This is a gift, if you will, from FIRST. If that you would like, in addition to being able to open it in Spike, you can open it as a PNG and print that off and give that to your students so that they're building it themselves and putting this information in, or so that they have an easy reference to looking at that. I do want to point out while I'm in here, this is something we mentioned during the informational meeting and kickoff, that this particular page within the resource library has all of the materials and resources that you need for the year. It has information on the challenge. It has your robot missions and the building instructions for your robot missions. It has the score calculator so that you can determine what your score would be for different robot runs based on what you did. It has the robot game rule book, and which you will be receiving if you've registered your team. You should receive a robot game rule book, the coach guide, and engineering notebooks. But these are also here for your students to access on these pages. And something else that is new this year is the slides. They actually have created and provided slides for you. So you can open any sort of YouTube videos and slides that will allow you to help, or that you can use as resource tools as you are leading your sessions. The other piece that's new this year, for those of you who are returning, is that all teams have to do consolidated judging this year. So if you are a returning coach, you previously have done the robot design judging in one room, core value judging in one room, and research project in one room. The way that that is set up now, all three take place in one room, and the judging flow chart is right here that will take you through. This is what a consolidated judging session will look like. The teams will come in, they'll start with their project. There will be a Q&A about their project. There will be conversation about the design and Q&A about the design. There'll be conversation about the core values. The judges will provide feedback to your teams during the session, and then the teams leave and the judges have times to put together their rubrics. But all of this is included on this resource page. And I just wanted to draw your attention to that because these are really some great pieces here, pieces of information here for you. All right. Okay, I wanted also to kind of jump into just running through with you all the information that was on the slideshow. So when you go to create a new project, you click on new project. You identify what it'll be, and then create. I recommend using word blocks because this is something, if your students have done any work with Scratch, this will be somewhat familiar to them. If they haven't, it's still a very user-friendly piece. It opens to when the program starts, so you can immediately start dropping and dragging to build on your program. And down here is where you'll identify where that you want to put the program. Here is where that you will connect your Bluetooth compatible device to your robot. And just throw something on here right now, just so that I can show. Right here is where that you would download to the hub. If that you don't click on the number and download to the hub, if students just click on this yellow button, it will automatically run this program wherever the robot is currently operating. If you hit this little red stop sign or stop button, that's how you can stop that. So we want to make sure that when your team is operating their robot, that they download the programs to the programmable brain rather than just always running them from the device. They won't be running them from the device in competition, and there's a greater likelihood that they may accidentally run the device off the table if, or where they're programming, if that they just hit the play button. All right. All right, so that actually went a lot quicker than I was expecting it to go. What I'd love to do at this time is to entertain any questions that you all have, because I feel like I kind of flew through that. So has those of you who received Spike Prime sets as part of the grant, if you've got yours and have had an opportunity to open them and look at some things, do you have any questions, or anyone who's considering getting a Spike Prime? Any questions related to the operation of any of the equipment or the components?
We've been using them for about, I think, 3 years at our school.
That's fantastic. I'm incredibly jealous. We tried to get them and couldn't for a while. So what has your experience been, Cynthia?
I think the kids like those a little bit better, but then there's some kids that do, like I have 2 classes. I have a 7th grade class and an 8th grade class. So our robotics class is the ones that I choose from. So since I have so many kids, I have some kids that do EV3 and some kids that do Spike, because I only have 14 robot sets of the Spikes, and then the rest are EV3s. So I think there's some kids that preferred the Spike because they had those at their school. I mean, sorry, the EV3 because
Sure.
they had that at their previous school. And the Spike is just a little bit different, but then there's some kids that like the Spike because it's a little bit faster and it's a little bit smaller and it's easier to maneuver than the other one.
That makes a lot of sense. And I do think that familiarity with a piece of equipment sometimes can be the deciding factor. Teams that have always built with and used the EV3s, there's no reason not to continue using those. They're still great robots, and they are still something that FIRST is using. But if that you have to buy something new, the EV3s are no longer available. And I'm pleased to hear that your experience with the Spikes has been a good one and that the students have enjoyed them, because I've been very limited in my experience with the Spikes, but I've had fun with them so far. I'm going to go ahead and mention while I'm thinking about it too, that hopefully you all have seen this, but I did send out an email to everyone late this afternoon with the tournament opportunities. So the tournament selection will open on October 3rd, and teams will have almost 2 weeks from October 3rd to October 14th to go in and identify their tournament preferences. It's not first come, first serve. We absolutely are going to try and match teams to the best possible options and to the best of our ability to give everybody what they want. We are only limited by the size of the tournaments. The tournament directors, we have new tournaments in Northern Kentucky and in Louisville, and the tournament directors for those have requested that the events be a little smaller than they had been in the past. Those used to be 48 team events, and both have asked for a 24 team event since this is their first year doing them. But we're fortunate to have events in 5 locations across the state. So I think we're going to be able to easily accommodate all the teams in in-person events. Yay! And to give the students tremendous experiences with their competition and gameplay. Bev, can you think of anything else that we want to make sure that we speak about before we wrap up this 2-hour meeting that has lasted just under an hour?
No, not really. I mean, I'm hoping everybody's getting their hands on their robots that are new to them, because sitting here and watching it and then you're like, I don't remember or whatever, just get out there and start working with them. I will mention that I know that some of you have backgrounds, still have EV3s, and we've come from that NXT EV3. I go back far as RCX even, so, but we had a summer camp with a group of young ladies this summer of grades 4th through 6th. And it's the first time that we really got into the spike prime, and really the girls were extremely successful with them. The robots performed well. And so, I know we have that familiarity sometimes is an issue, but if you're brand new to this, don't worry. There's no real advantage to, having the other robot over spike prime. Honestly, it will do whatever you need to do to compete successfully. So, and explore, encourage some young kids to get into explore, and some coaches, and if they need help, they can contact me and I'll help them get started and go through just all the details with that. So we want to grow that this year in person again as well. So excited about it.
Absolutely. So the Explore program, for those of you who are new, the Explore program is for elementary school students up to and including 4th grade. And there's actually a little overlap because 4th grade also can participate in challenge. 4th grade through 8th grade can participate in challenge. And then there's a little overlap again because students for FTC, that can be middle school or high school. And then FRC is high school only. So First has kind of taken all of their programs and had them overlap just a little bit so that students can transition from one program to another. We are going to have Explore Expos at 2 of the regional competitions. So Explore Expos will be available at the event in Lexington and at the event in Bowling Green. And we also will have an Explore event at the FRC, or at the state championship. And the state championship Explore event is open to any team in the state. I see that there's a question here about the coach's pin. What is the coach's pin that says super powered for? It's a souvenir. It's a souvenir for coaches. They First has done different things, different years, to kind of commemorate the coach's experience. Some years it's been pins, some years it's been keychains, some years it's been little Lego pieces that snap together. So the coach pin is a commemorative piece for the coaches. There are also little Lego tokens that have the superpowered theme on them and little Legos that snap together that are for the students. So that's something that the students get to keep, as opposed to all of the other amazing, wonderful colored Legos that they want to keep. The rest of the Legos have to stay in the kits and in the boxes. Do we have any other questions? Oh, Bag 14, 15, and 16 have no instructions. Those are extra pieces. So within the Spike Prime set, they break down the bags that go into the individual part or into the individual kits. And then there are bags of extra pieces. Oh, in the challenge kit, there are also bags of extra pieces in the Spike kit. So the challenge set, the additional bags are for the inspiration or for the pieces that the students make. So one of the missions this year is the students are to construct a field element and then put it on the field. And those Legos are for constructing that field element and for putting something on the television, I believe.
There's, yeah, I think bag 14 is for the innovation project, which is pretty much all white pieces. And so
Mhm.
that, yeah, one of the missions is to put that into a circle. Bag 15, I think, is the colors that they can, just as sort of a customization, the kids can kind of create a little pattern. And then when they're competing, they can hang it on, there's like a bin, yeah, that they can hang it on. And I forget what 16 is.
Someone has asked, thank you so much, Vaughn, I appreciate that. Someone has asked about the EV3 expansion kit. The EV3 expansion kit had its own box, and you are correct. It was a tub, the same as the base kit. The Spike Prime expansion kit is in a cardboard box. So you can fit those elements as best as they can into this existing tub. Though I'll be honest, this tub already is pretty full. My personal suggestion as far as the storage of these pieces is to do if you have old EV3 boxes, you can put them in the old EV3 tubs and separate the components into the shelves within an EV3 tub. If you don't, my recommendation is just getting some sort of plastic tub with a snapping lid, be it Rubbermaid or something else of that nature, and just having the pieces loose in there. They're not as organized, perhaps. I see that one person did multiple tubs, Marnie, and organized them by color. Absolutely, you can do that. But they also could just be loose pieces in a larger tub for individuals to get when they're looking for specific pieces to build appendages and to expand the size of their robot. Helen made the comment that the link where it says here to find our place to compete would not open. It will not open until October 3rd. So the competition preferences document is actually, it's a form that you'll go in and you'll identify your first and second preference, your first and second choice of where you would like to go for a tournament, and that'll open on October 3rd. So that link is not yet accessible, but it will be soon. I wanted to go ahead and send it out. I'll be sending it out again on the 3rd, but I wanted to go ahead and send it out with the email today because I find that sometimes it's helpful to have the same information in multiple locations. Do you all have any additional questions about the Spike Primes? I just want to reiterate what Bev said, that Bev and Jean is unfortunately not available to join us today. She is out of town, but the three of us are available to meet online with you or to speak with you on the phone or via email, whatever works best for you. If you have any questions or challenges as you're working with your teams, we are here for you and are excited to work with you. We're just excited to have a season again. The last 2 years of online competitions have not been what any of us would have preferred, and we're looking forward to seeing students again. All right, well, it is 7 o'clock. So yeah, I just gave you an hour back of your evening. I hope that you all have a great night. Thank you all so very much for taking the time to join us this evening. I hope that this has been informative and helpful as you are preparing to work with your teams. And if you've already started, I thank you so much and I wish you a tremendous and exciting season. So
Thank you very much and great job on the training.
Thank you. Have a good night.
thank you all so much. I have turned off the recording. Oh, nope. There we go.